Thanks for tuning into the 6Three podcast. I'm your host, Joel, my co-host, Ben. It is draft week. So last week, kind of gave you guys a little bit of a heads up, getting Logan Lamrandier on the show. We talked about Michigan football players and where they would land. This week, we're going to come at you with our combined first-round mock draft. We're going to rank our top 5 players at each position, and we're going to run through some full 7-round mock drafts for the Lions with some simulators. So hopefully that'll keep you guys up to speed, and we'll kick it off with Ben doing the first overall pick. And I'll go to the mock simulator here. All right, Ben, who are the Jaguars taking? We see some of their needs here with edge safety. Everybody, they need everybody, but
yeah. I mean, I think it's between 2 at this point, but I'm just with all the stuff we've been hearing this week. I think we're gonna go with Trayvon Walker. They're number 1.
I can dig it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I think that kind of sets it up for what I would like and what I'm not sure is going to happen for the Lions. There's been so much chatter. It almost seems like it's been at least narrowed down to it's going to be an edge rusher. So that is the good news. I would crap my pants if Malik Willis went 2 here. I would be furious if Ahmad Gardner even went here. I just think it's too. I don't think Ahmad Gardner is going to bust. I just think it's too soon removed from Okudah. Kyle Hamilton was there, but now there's been tons of mocks that have him even out of 10.
Yeah.
So I think right now it's down to 2 guys here for the Lions, with Trayvon Walker going at 1. And I like Aiden Hutchinson. Part of me really believes it's going to be Kayvon Thibodeau, just with reports. And this week is always smoke, but yeah, I'm really torn on who they're going. So I'm going to go with who I want them to take and who is definitely a valid option for them to take, and that's going to be Aiden Hutchinson here from Michigan.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. Yeah, I mean, that would be ideal, because I think last week we were both like, we would love for him to be at 2, but we thought, maybe there's a good chance he wasn't going to be. And now I think it's kind of trending the other way.
How much a week has changed? Yeah, 80 plus percent of mock drafts last week were Aiden Hutchinson as well.
Right, which leads me to believe I just don't know anymore at this point with the first probably 5 picks. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not sure with all 32, to be quite frank. If you get even one of the first 5 wrong, it's going to throw out the rest of your draft.
Exactly. So I am going to go with Evan Neal here for the Texans. I went back and forth, considered possibly even going. I like Charles Cross and Iquanu as well, but I think Evan Neal to me is the best of the tackles. And I think there's thoughts of going more of a skill position player there. They need help everywhere, but I think right now, I think just shoring some things up front is the main need for them. So,
yeah, I was looking at a lot of the mock drafts that some of the pros have already released, and I say pros, but pretty well respected draft writers, I guess. I went all over from Pro Football Talk to NFL Nation to Draft Network, PFN, MLive. Like, I went to all the main writers, and most of them have Aiden and Trayvon as 1 and 2. There's a couple with Kayvon Thibodeau in there. And then for the Texans, you see a lot of, Thibodeau, even Jermaine Johnson has made an appearance. And then Ahmad Gardner, Derek Stingley have pretty much 50-50 for the corners. And then I've seen a lot of Iquanu and Evan Neal too. So yeah, the Texans may even be a tougher pick.
Yeah.
And because I think they do have the most glaring needs out of all these things. The team is a train wreck, and somehow they're still picking 3rd.
Right.
So I think this is more about David Coley, but
right.
We'll see. Yeah. Evan Neal, it's a good one. I think they're pretty much very top heavy with tackles this year. I think the first 4 are really solid guys, and after that, it's like yikes. So the teams that need their tackles are going to probably get them early, and then there may be a bit of a fall off there. You could argue 5. I've seen Raymond from Central Michigan in a couple.
Yep.
But yeah, so the Jets have 2 first-round picks. You see what they've got it there at 10. They've got one here at 4. And I think that right now they're going to be looking for their Darrell Revis and hopefully not D Milliner.
No.
And so I'm going to go with Sauce Gardner. I think he's the best one. I mean, Derek Stingley's definitely been trending upward too, big time in this last week, probably as fast as Trayvon Walker has.
Yeah.
So it could go 50-50 there too. And maybe they do take Kayvon Thibodeau here now that he's here. That's definitely an option.
It is.
Because edge rushers you see is one of their biggest needs. And again, Ike Ekwonu is going to be big. Charles Cross is going to be big. And I'm hearing more reports that they wanted Evan Neal and that Ekwonu was possibly going Texans if they had one, but that could go, that Texans are so 50-50 at tackle.
Right.
Man, this is tough. This, like I said, it's such a weird draft, but part of me wants to take Kayvon now that he's fallen, but I know in my personal draft, I have Ahmad Gardner. You also have Ahmad Gardner go here.
I do.
So I'm going to go with Sauce.
Yeah, I think it just I don't know. It is hard because a lot of these teams, top 5 picks, all these teams have so many glaring issues that they could go and there's no like franchise quarterbacks in this draft. So it's not like obvious that like, hey, a couple quarterbacks are going off in the first 5 picks. So it's just, there's no just obvious number 1 overall pick even. So it could go a lot of different ways. I think this is actually pretty tough. But I am going to go for number 5 here. I'm actually going to go Thibodeau here to the Giants. Thought about going Ekwonu here as well. But I think they're going to take, I wouldn't even say it's taking a chance. I think Thibodeau's, obviously he's super highly regarded. But they need to shore up their edge rushing. They haven't harassed a quarterback in years. So they really need to get somebody who can make an impact there. So I think that they're going to go that route. I think actually really, to me, we'll see how their 7th pick ends up here, but I think they're going defense on both of them. So we'll see.
They're gonna be looking for their defensive and superstar. I mean, they've definitely had a bunch of them run through the Giants organization, going back from Strahan then to Umenyiora and then to Justin Tuck. So they're gonna be looking for, and Kayvon Thibodeau definitely has a ceiling for that, but there is a Oregon edge rusher bust potential like Deion Jordan. So I see Kayvon having a little bit better of a career than Deion Jordan. Like I think even with his behavioral issues, he could still be Aldon Smith and be extremely effective when he's actually on the field. So that's a good pick for the Giants. I think part of me wonders if, maybe their next pick, which obviously comes up at 7, they may be leaning towards tackle then, because I think if they're not going to move on from Danny Dimes yet, then I think they're going to give him every opportunity to succeed with protection. Yeah. So I think with Kayvon there, though, it's hard to pass up that supernatural talent, though. And then obviously you're probably going to have, at least in our draft here, Ekwonu or Cross could be sitting for him there at 7. So if they're happy with either one of those guys, I could see that working. With the Panthers, there's a lot of talk about Kenny Pickett having ties there. I just don't know if I'm prepared to put a quarterback even in this top 10. It's just not isn't a pretty sad class overall. A lot of like middle level talent. So we've had worse classes.
There's one guy that has a chance
to be a superstar.
Malik Willis has a chance if it all comes together. Everybody else, in my opinion, is like
bound for backup.
Yeah, or like tops Mac Jones, like tops, like, and that's like down the road, in my opinion. Like that's why I see.
To me, I'd see them more as like a Jared Goff or a Mitchell Trubisky. Going to be fine. You're going to be like a serviceable quarterback for 4 years. By the time you get to your 5th year extension, you're going to start, transitioning into being a 5 to 6 year backup quarterback in the league.
Yep. I can see that. Yep.
I think with the Matt Rule is in a position right now where he needs his guy to see if he can go there. And I know his clock is definitely already started. He's probably going to come into the season being number 1 hot seat. And so I don't know if I think he could go on at quarterback here, but
An option, definitely.
in the
I went
same
back and forth here.
in the same respect, if he trusts in Sam Darnold still for a year and he hasn't written off Sam Darnold, then give Sam Darnold opportunities to succeed with the tackle talent that's in the class with Ekwonu and Cross as well. So that option sits there for me. I think, though, truthfully, I feel like if it's not a trade out position, maybe they go back to like 12 or something if someone wants to trade in, and then they can probably still get, Pickett if that's really where they want to go.
Yep.
But I think if they're drafting in this position, I still feel like even Matt Rule thinks it's too early to take Kenny Pickett. So I'm going to
Pickett,
And when's their second round pick? Probably somewhere in the early top 10 in the second round too.
He might even be there. And
Yeah,
if they like him, but they're not necessarily sold on him, I would wait because I had one quarterback in the whole first round.
Mhm.
So
I'm going to go with Ikem Ekwonu.
Yep. That's what I had. Yep.
So right now, this has actually turned into be your exact mock draft so far.
Yeah, I think it has. You're right. I'm going to pull it up real quick. Just so, yeah, it has. So yeah, the question is, do I stick with what mine is, which was a little bit of an outlier, but I'd read some reports that the Giants are really love Derek Stingley Jr. Which is why I kind of went there with that route in the mock draft. Same time, if Ikwanu's there, I think they might lean there. Yeah. Charles Cross is also a talent. They have a few other needs as well. Safety is also a need. I could see Kyle Hamilton also going here. I am actually going to stick with it though, just because Ekwonu went one before. So I will go with Derek Stingley here. Stingley's scary as a pick. Like, he could be all world, right? Mm-hmm. As a freshman, he was unreal, but then he's battled a ton of injuries and just hasn't exactly been the same. He would have been, after his freshman year, if he could have left after his freshman year for how good he played that year, he would have been a top 5 pick that year. If he was allowed to leave at that point. But, he'll settle for number 7 here. I don't think he'd be too mad with top 10 draft position. He did test well. He's done well in the lead up to the draft. And I think they'll take a chance on him. Especially because they got Thibodeau. So they got a guy who's going to be able to set the edge for him there. And now they kind of can shore up the back end there with a talent like Stingley. I feel like they'd be elated if those two guys were there. So.
Yeah, it's Derek Stingley. Definitely. I've seen reports and articles that basically
he can return kicks for you too. He's a really good punt returner and kick returner. So he gives you options there.
Yeah. I've seen articles and reports that kind of indicate he is like you said, he's one of the riskiest players in this draft. He could be explosive and really great for your team, but with the injury history, he could be out and phased out of the league in 3 years. So that kind of stuff. It's a very high risk, high reward type of player for sure.
Yep.
You and I matched on this one as well for the Falcons, and I'm relatively sure they've got to go wide receiver. I think with Russell Gage is now the only wide receiver, unless you're okay with Almighty Zacchaeus.
Yeah,
which I'm not okay with Almighty Zacchaeus. So I think I'm gonna go wide receiver here. They got to try to regroup that team after Ridley and Julio Jones have left. So, and I think it comes down to whether it's Garrett Wilson or Drake London. And I think they're going to look for that big body. And to me, I think that's why Garrett Wilson may not fit right away with them. And I think Drake London does. 6'4" frame, 220.
He's more of a big play guy. Yep.
So I think, and I think to me, we've talked about with Logan, even the best wide receiver in his class. Everyone's got a different one, but I kind of tend to agree with him. I think Drake London is probably the highest ceiling wide receiver in this class. So,
yep, I think so too. Just with that 6'4", I mean, nobody else is that big. There's some guys that maybe are a little more. I mean, certainly Jameson Williams is the burner of the class. Wilson and Olave. Olave has like no holes in my opinion. He's just not doesn't
He's a
have the
pure route runner. Yeah.
yeah. So Olave wouldn't surprise me if he's the guy who maybe makes the biggest impact right away. But yeah, I mean, from the upside standpoint, I think Drake London's the best receiver in the class. So yeah, I had that as well. The Seahawks were another tough one for me. I could see him going quarterback here.
See him go
I could also
cross.
see him going cross here. I had them originally going Jermaine Johnson
That's
at
what
this
I had
point.
in mind too. But
Just because I feel like they really need to get an edge guy here. But I'll flip it here just to be a little bit different, and I'll go Charles Cross because I don't want to keep going exactly on my.
No, this is turning out, isn't it? You've
Right.
even got me convinced on your draft.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll go Cross here. I mean, I went between Malik Willis, Charles Cross, and Jermaine Johnson here. I think it could go any of those three. But I actually think it will be Jermaine Johnson, but Charles Cross is a good pick here too. So they need to show up there.
And in my personal first, I'm still going to make adjustments by probably even tomorrow morning. I may make a final one and post it by noon tomorrow on our Instagram page and Facebook page. But I had Kayvon Thibodeau actually go to 10 to the Jets, and I had Jermaine Johnson even go before him at 9.
Yep.
I don't care. I can see Thibodeau as a Jet, and so but I saw, we have Ahmad Gardner here. To me, I don't see Thibodeau in I do see him in a couple other uniforms. Like I see him in a Giants uniform. That makes sense to me. But, I think character concerns kind of push people down. We've seen it happen time and time again in draft day. Teams we aren't privy to all the conversations that go on in interviews and stuff to really gauge all that. But and probably teams would do their due diligence. They're going to draft him still. But he's a talent, but it's like I think it's going to scare him off. So I think it's going to be I think a team that has 2 picks, like the Giants, like the Jets, in this top 10 would probably
take him at one point at one of them. Yeah. And then, and depending on where they take him, that's how they feel. They'll probably have some knowledge about how other teams feel about him. Right. So if they take him later, that means they feel like they can get him later. Right. If they're waiting, I mean, and if the Jets or the Giants take him at 4 or 5, then obviously they feel like he wouldn't have gotten back around to him later in the draft. So
this is tough at 10 here though. And I still think they're pretty, it's to me, it's wide receiver or it's Jermaine Johnson at this point. So, I think I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I had him as the next pick anyway. So
I actually had him at 16 on mine of the Saints. I just think that I think they might have hoped that maybe Drake London might have fell there.
Yeah. Could see that.
But Garrett Wilson, they need a wide receiver that fits all types. Like Elijah Moore, you hope that he's going to break out, but Denzel Mims never has broken out for them either. So
they added a ton of speed when they got Elijah Moore, which is why I think they would love to get Drake London because he adds the height and the kind of the deep ball guy. So
I get Scary Terry vibes though from Garrett Wilson. So at the same breath, I think that he has that ceiling as well, which that's no wide receiver to complain about.
No. Which is kind of why I had him at Washington. I mean, he could do, go right alongside McLaurin there. That would be pretty good. Now that he's not there, this becomes a little bit different. So I will actually go just because I don't love the rest of I like a few of the other receivers, but it's a little bit later. I'm actually going to go Jordan Davis here at number 11 now.
Okay.
I'll move him up a bit.
That's it. Yeah, I was thinking Kyle Hamilton territory, but
I like Kyle Hamilton.
They do need an interior defensive lineman though.
They need some linemen, and I like Kyle Hamilton next better.
Can you imagine though Chase Young and Ioannidis and Jordan Davis and I think Kerrigan's still there, like all those guys. It's like Montez Sweat. That's it's really, I don't know how Deron Payne is still there, Jonathan Allen if they're still there, but
I think
that line continues to be scary if that's the case.
Yep. And I think Davis is actually a little bit of a project. I think he's going to take a year or so to kind of get his conditioning back, so so he can be a 3-down guy. But I mean, I don't know how you block that guy sometimes. I mean, he's a planet up front.
Yeah, that would be a scary line to face if you add Jordan Davis to that mix.
Yep.
Yeah, so now things have kind of changed a little bit on both of our personal mocks. So the Vikings, though, I think they'd be pretty stoked. I think they kind of hoped initially they'd go corner here with like Stingley or Gardner if they fell. Now that they're not there, I don't know. I think the fall off in talent, maybe Trent McDuffie is the next available guy if you really need a corner.
Yeah,
they could use a safety just as well to learn from the great Harrison Smith.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with Kyle Hamilton here for them.
Yeah, I had him going to the Vikings, and I think that makes sense. Hamilton's been mocked. I mean, not mocked. Early mocks had him as high as like 2 to the Lions, or which look, he's really good. I don't think he's that good though. I mean,
I think I wanted to see, like, people see, like, if you watch his tape, like his game tape, he looks a lot faster than he ran.
But yeah, he didn't run great I mean, he didn't test all that great. I mean, it was just very average.
That's when his stock fell, like right before the combine and the pro days and stuff. He was actually considered easily a top 5 pick, but
Yep. Okay. So I had originally Davis actually going here to the Texans. I think this changes things a little bit.
That's where I had Jordan Davis too, yeah.
But obviously Jermaine Johnson's still on the board. So I'm going to have him going here at 13. They really need an edge rusher. I had Johnson going at 9. So I think if he gets down this far, I think I wouldn't say it's a steal necessarily. It's not that many picks down, but I think they really would like the value there. So I'll go Jermaine Johnson there at 13.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they're doing pretty well in this draft with getting Evan Neal and then getting Jermaine Johnson.
Right. I think they would, because like the question at number 3 was, hey, do they go get Thibodeau or did they go get one of the other edge rushers?
Now they still get
a
consensus top 4 edge rusher.
Edge rusher at 13, and you get probably the best tackle in the draft. So you'd love that if you're them.
Yeah, that's planning out to be a pretty good draft here. There's been lots of talks that 13 has been a pretty common trade out area. So and especially, I mean, you can see the Texans doing it. They have a lot of draft capital that they need because so many holes like we talked about. So if they get multiple 2nd round picks, 3rd round picks even to help, those are hopefully immediate starters for them.
Right.
All right, Ravens. Now this is another one that's kind of been all over the board. I've seen guard here, I've seen tackle here, I've seen edge, wide receiver, defensive tackle, almost all of the positions, except like very occasionally I've seen a couple corners.
The corner talent at this pick, I just don't think is going to be there enough for them to want to take on a guy here.
Yeah.
Like if somehow one of the guys fell a little bit, then maybe.
And there's been also talk of Daxton Hill there because of the Michigan connection, right?
Yep.
I think right now it's down to 3 players for me here, and they can either Trevor Penning, Zion Johnson, or Trent McDuffie.
Yep.
Those are the 3 guys that I'm going to kind of battle back and forth on. And I think guard is going to be a really big need for them. So I'm going to get the first guard out of the way, and I think that's Zion Johnson out of Boston College.
Yep. I agree with that. All right. So for the Eagles here, the Eagles, in my opinion, have a lot of needs as well. Where do they want to go with this pick? I just don't love. I think they need a corner, but I don't love McDuffie. Like we said, the corner is not a deep position at this in this draft. The edge rushers at this point sort of have fallen off. So unless a guy like Jermaine Johnson fell to this point, I don't think they're going to go edge. So I do have them actually going with Jamison Williams here. They like their Alabama receivers.
I have
So
them at 8. I had them at 18. So it's like I think it's like, and they have 2 picks, obviously. So it's like it was 15
yep.
or 18. I see Jamison Williams in an Eagle uniform with Devontae Smith.
Yep, they like their Alabama wide receivers, and I think Williams will pair great with Devontae Smith, in my opinion. Smith's more of the smooth route runner. Williams is a burner. I mean,
And there's been a lot of talk they're trying to get rid of Jalen Rager. So
yep.
I think they're going to try to find another guy that can play that.
Yep.
All right. Means the Saints here. Such a weird trade move with the Eagles and the Saints doing a couple of small move ups and rounds.
Yeah. I don't know what the deal was there.
It's probably the
I heard
weirdest.
a lot of commentary on that pick and they're around that trade, and they were like, "What was the point of that?"
Like, just to give us a little bit of something to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, like that whole thing was dumb. But
so now we're getting to the point where they need, man, in my opinion, they need wide receiver help a lot. They need tackle help. There's no doubt. But Michael Thomas coming back, they need a good number 2 because right now it's been like Traquan Smith and Marquez Callaway. And that's not ideal. So to me, if they don't go like Pickett or something here, which I could very well see them even go Pickett as the first quarterback off the board here. I'm going to give them Chris Olave from Ohio State.
All right. So I had him at 19 to them. So that makes sense. All right. Chargers. They're an interesting team because I feel like they're really close. They just kind of need to build a little bit more depth. And I think their issues have mostly been up front on defense. So I'm actually going to go with Devontae Wyatt here from Georgia. I think he's really going to help solidify that front. And I think it's a good value pick there. I don't think he's quite actually even as much of a project as Jordan Davis. The ceiling isn't Jordan Davis level, but definitely, less of a project though.
Yeah, he tested well.
He did.
All right. So this is kind of the territory where, I think they could even go linebacker here. Edge rusher is obviously still in need. Does Karlaftis go already? I've kind of gone back and forth on that. So part of me is leaning towards McDuffie, Lloyd, or Karlaftis here.
Yeah.
And I tend to think that it's going to be Trent McDuffie from Washington.
Yep, that's what I had.
Am I really just picking everything that you had? That is what you had.
So, yeah, I think McDuffie's a safe pick. He's just, he didn't get thrown at a lot, which can be a good thing, bad thing. You've seen, he was just really solid. So I think, yeah, he's not, Sauce Gardner level or even Derek Stingley level, but he's probably safer than Derek Stingley.
Yeah, he's safer than Derek Stingley.
Almost.
I would almost say Kyer Ulam is too, but actually I'm like, wait, he's a Florida corner. Those aren't safe.
Yeah, Florida corners are like
Vernon Hargreaves, Peace Taylor. Oh man.
Yeah, I wouldn't go anywhere near. I wouldn't touch him.
4th rounder.
So yeah, the Saints here. I had them actually pick. Oh, I'm actually going to go my other pick for them, which was Trevor Penning from North.
I like it.
Yep. So I think, they need some tackle help. And I think that pick makes sense there. I actually think I feel pretty confident that one of those guys will be the pick at either 16 or 19. I'm not going to say I'll get them both right, but I think that's pretty confident. I'm pretty confident though.
That's the other thing. Like with some of these teams that are picking double now, granted, there's reasonable enough chance that these teams that have 2 or whatever picks in this first round trade out of 1.
Yep.
To get someone else, because that means there's a lot of teams that are not picking at all in the first round. And I think some people do want that. Some teams want that. So in that case, when I'm grading these, whether you get, if it's 16 or 19 correct, just in a different order, I'm still going to count it as a full point.
Cool.
I'll be pretty generous on it, especially because I think this is going to be a very difficult to come by for points
Yeah.
kind of draft.
Yeah, points might not happen very often.
I'd be blessed if I got 3 correct.
Right. Right.
And usually I get about 7 or 8. So
Yeah.
let's see here. This one seems pretty unanimous. I really almost never thought about this one. I think I actually filled this one in my own mock draft before I even built it on this website. And that is Malik Willis from Liberty. You just hear all the talks right now. They got Mitchell Trubisky, who definitely can be that bridge quarterback for a year if they really want to keep working Willis in. But, if an injury happens, then it's Willis time. And I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cool part is, if you're a Steelers fan, you're gonna have the pick of any of the quarterbacks, in my opinion. Willis could go. There were 2 or 3 other spots where I thought teams would certainly consider him. But if you're the Steelers, that's awesome because you can kind of build your offense around him now without having to thrust him into action. He can definitely be the guy. He can definitely be the guy in 2 years even. Trubisky is good enough, and you're not looking to probably win right away. So I think that's a perfect situation for him. So if you're the Steelers, I'd be pretty happy with that pick. That makes sense for a first round quarterback in this class, if he's around the 20 range. Top 10 makes no sense in this class. So 21, I think the biggest need for the Patriots is at linebacker. So it really, to me, it just depends on if they like Devin Lloyd, or I could see them going to Kobe Dean earlier, but I think Lloyd's a better overall prospect. He's kind of a freak, in my opinion. I would love for him to be able to fall all the way to the end of the first round for the Lions to consider.
There's actually a couple mock drafts that have Devin Lloyd there at 32.
Yeah, I would love for that because I think he's a game changer at linebacker.
He's my favorite choice of a guy that's semi-reasonable to be there. It's a long shot, but he's semi-reasonable to be there.
Yeah, I just don't think he's going to be, but which is why I'm actually going to have them pick the Patriots pick him. But maybe the Patriots like Nakobe Dean more, or I've seen Dax Hill there a couple. They have a couple other needs, so maybe they don't want to go the linebacker route, but I do think they will. So I'm going to go Devin Lloyd. He's the best linebacker on the board. So,
all right. Then let me see what I've got here for the Packers. I think I'm going to give them a kicker.
Yep, no doubt.
Packers. No, the pick they're getting from Vegas for Devontae Adams. Are they going to use it just to replace Devontae Adams? Traylon Burks is a guy that's really been connected to them quite a bit. Whether it's been at 22 here or 28 is a different story. So let me see who I think is the best available, because I think George Karlaftis is another guy that I've thought about here. And if they don't take their edge now, I think they're still going to have more wide receivers left. I think they have to kind of start thinking about Karlaftis here. So I'm going to go with Karlaftis, because even if they don't get Traylon Burks, I think they can still aim for a guy like, Christian Watson or Jahan Dotson, or, there's different names that come up there. I don't think they're out of the water there. So
the receiver, this is a deep receiver class. I will say that,
especially for the back end first.
The back end, there's not. You can't really go wrong in the back end with those guys can go in different orders. It just kind of depends on what kind of receiver you're looking for, which is interesting. So I actually had them with Karlaftis as well. Let's see. The Cardinals are in an interesting spot, because I think if the Packers don't get Karlaftis there, I think I would have probably had Karlaftis going to the Cardinals. But I think they're going to go with Kaiir Elam here. I think they really need a lot of cornerback help. He's safe. We've kind of talked about before, other than a Florida pick, but I think they're going to go with the best corner available at this point. If it's Elam, or you could see McDuffie being here.
Andrew Booth is another corner I really like, but
I just think he's a little bit later. He and Elam are close, but I just like Elam a little bit better. But if McDuffie's here, I think he's the pick. The corners, the later 3 or 4 corners can kind of go in any order. It just depends on who they like. So.
Oh man. All right. For the Cowboys, it's almost been almost every mock draft I've seen, actually, it's, there's a few that have some secondary in there, but I think 80% of them have been offensive line or interior line. So I've seen Zion Johnson, I've seen Kenyon Green, I've seen Tyler Linderbaum.
Yep.
So, and I've even seen some Tyler Smith. So,
Yep.
I'm relatively confident that seems to be the direction the Cowboys are headed in.
Mm-hmm.
In that situation, it's going to be like, well, they could try to go replace the early retirement of Travis Frederick a few years back and go with Linderbaum.
Yep.
Part of me also has kind of gone back and forth on Kenyon Green, but I think Kenyon Green, there's been reports that he has some knee cartilage issues. So he may fall to the early, middle, second round. And those are kind of the things that we start getting privy to much closer to the draft. So I think Linderbaum is probably your safer pick. They could use a good center here. So the guy out of Iowa is probably my favorite.
Yep. I actually had him down at 31, but that's because I had the Cowboys. I did end up going secondary for them, but I was back and forth. Linderbaum going there makes a lot of sense. So, all right, so the Bills here, I think they need secondary help as well, mostly at corner. So I'm actually going to have them taking Andrew Booth here. So that's pretty much the last corner I'd probably be talking about for a while.
I think at least for our first round, yeah.
So I mean, I like Booth. I think he's good. He just, I think he's probably the back end of the good corners, the really good corners in this draft. So I think he kind of can shore up that position a little bit for Buffalo. And in my opinion, their biggest needs are on defense overall. I think their offense is cooking. I considered receiver there as well. But I don't love. They have. I mean, a guy like Treylon Burks, in my opinion, is similar to some of the other guys they already have on that team. So I'm going to go corner there for them.
I think I'm going to go with a little bit of a surprise pick. I know I have a different linebacker for the Titans here at 26. I don't even think linebacker is probably it's definitely not the most common pick. I think probably 25% of the mocks I've seen have the Titans go linebacker here.
Mm-hmm.
Another 25% have Desmond Ridder go here, Kenny Pickett. So I've seen that also, but I'm actually going to go
on the Tannehill train, I guess.
Yeah, people are kind of thinking that Tannehill's a one more year bridge type of quarterback.
It's possible.
And I can see that happening. I'm not ruling that out. I think they need linebacker pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me wants to go into Kobe Dean, but I don't think that fits what Mike Vrabel is necessarily looking for. So yeah. I am leaning towards Quay Walker.
Okay.
Out of Georgia. Yeah. Let's see how far I have to go down. There he is.
Not that far. Pretty he's right outside of the first round on theirs.
Yeah. So I don't know. He's a bigger body. And I think that's going to fit what Vrabel's looking for a little bit more.
Okay. I like it. All right. So for the Bucks here, a couple different options. I think they could go safety between Daxton Hill or Lucasine, depending on which one they like better. I could also see them going interior offensive line, and that is actually how I'm going to have them pick here. So I'm going to have them go with Kenyon Green from Texas A&M. That just seems like a Buccaneers pick to me right now. I think, they got to keep Brady upright. And I think that just makes sense in that position. And it's a safe pick. I just think right now they've been doing a lot of their work, in free agency and in the offseason that way. And I think Kenyon Green kind of shores up themselves up front. And I think, keeping Brady upright has got to be their number one priority. So,
yeah. All right, Packers. So we talked about it, and it looks like they did get their wide receiver. So I am going to go with Treylon Burks out of Arkansas.
Okay, I had them going Jahan Dotson because I actually had Treylon Burks going at 26 to the Titans, but I think it just depends on what receiver they like more, and with those type of guys here towards the later end.
Mm-hmm.
the Chiefs, they get back to back here. So whatever doesn't really matter what order they go here.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to have him go safety here, and I'm actually going to have him go Dax Hill here.
Okay. Let's get that one.
So we'll do Daxon Hill. I just think he's versatile, and they like to do a lot of different stuff with their safeties. So he can play in the box. He can play outside. He can play free safety in center field. So I'm going to go Daxon Hill here. I don't think part of me really wants Daxon Hill to be there for the Lions at 32 as well. Just that'd be really cool to me. I mean, I just think he's that type of guy that would really fit that defense too. But for some reason, the reason I put him here too is I don't think he's going to be there. I think he's going to get off the board before the Lions have a chance. So
I kind of figured secondary. And then if it wasn't, there's three options they could really go. Three positions I think they're going to go. And I think safety is definitely one of them. Safety, corner, whatever. And then I think edge and wide receiver are also positions of need.
Yep.
So now it's narrowing it down from, do they want to double up a defensive back? Because, I've seen Kyler Gordon from Washington also get his name pinned there. I've seen Boye Mafe quite a bit.
Yep.
I think with the two back-to-backs, though, and them already being a team in position to win, I think they may be more willing to wander outside of the typical realm. There's always a couple of surprises in the first round,
especially towards the later half with teams that are like.
It'll be interesting to see what the Seahawks do at 9, because usually the Seahawks pick in the middle or in the 20s, and then they always pick some dude that's projected to go in the third round. So we'll see if they botch it at 9. But yeah, I think the Chiefs are just more in a position where they can mess around a little bit outside that line. So I don't think, Mafe is pretty much the consensus top guy right now. There's Ojabo as a high risk, high reward. So I'm not necessarily leaving Ojabo out of that conversation. Ibiketti is another guy I see. I don't think it's going to go past Paschal. I think edge rusher's kind of not fitting that profile specifically. Corner, we talked about Kyler Gordon, and then after Kyler Gordon, it's Tariq Woolen. And so part of me actually thinks they may go outside the realm a little bit and double up at secondary.
Okay.
Shore it up a little bit more. And so I think Tariq Woolen out of Texas San Antonio.
Yep.
Roadrunners is going to go back to back at defensive back, and that may irk a couple Chiefs fans. I just think they're kind of more in a position where they can take high ceiling guys, and one is a high ceiling guy. Just the small school factor would be UTSA as the concern with him. So
for the Bengals here, actually, like I said before, I had Linderbaum going here, but I'm going to actually go with Lewis Seen here. Safety from Georgia. I think safety is a big, secondary in general is a big need.
An impressive amount of Georgia players.
Yeah, well, are you surprised?
Are we going to finish with the Kobe Dean and just kill it all? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I had, but I would enjoy that pick if I were the Lions.
So Desmond Ridder.
Oh
man. Let's see. What am I thinking here? There's been a lot of names that have been tied at 32.
Yeah,
and it's probably it's an optimal trade out.
It is the one I've seen the most talk about trade as well, at least from the Lions standpoint.
13 and 32 have been the most commonly traded out of I've seen.
Yep.
I think obviously we're not doing trades, so to me, I think they could go wide receiver. And if I think they go wide receiver here, they may go with another homegrown. We have obviously Aiden Hutchinson at ours. I think, Sky Moore from Western Michigan has been an interesting one. And, obviously having Jahan Dotson still there, I like that. But I think I'm going to go with another Penn State guy, and that's going to be Jaquan Brisker.
Like
I think they needed to address safety, and Brisker, I think getting the opportunities and privileges in Big Ten area to see some Penn State games, I've been impressed with Jaquan Brisker. So
you think if Hill's there, do you think they take Daxton Hill?
So I still say no. I think even if you leave it to, if let's say Hill, Lewis, Seen, and Brisker are all there, I think Seen would be the pick.
Yeah,
I think that
I do too, actually.
I'm not. It's not a knock on Daxton Hill. Daxton Hill, I think, is just as talented, just in a different way than Seen is.
Hill's more versatile. Seen's probably just a better fit for what the Lions actually need.
He's the body of the safety that I think they're looking for. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. That's why I like Brisker. He's 6'3", still a bigger guy.
So you don't see them going to Kobe Dean?
I think that I wouldn't.
I would like that pick, just because I think he can immediately start, and I think he's immediately an upgrade from what
he's an immediate starter on the Lions linebacker core, because
he's an immediate upgrade, and he's immediately their best linebacker probably.
I actually would see Quay Walker go before Nakobe Dean, and that's if they were both sitting there. I like Nakobe Dean a lot. I don't think that, based on what they drafted last year with Derek Barnes, I think they have a prototype linebacker that they like. Just bigger bodies, more physical guys. And Nakobe Dean is obviously as physical as they come in the condition of, his size.
But he's a smaller. He's like a Devin Bush type.
Yeah, which we were really high on the Devin Bush junior train too when he came out. I don't know. To me, I like Dean's game a lot, and I think he's going to be successful in another system. I just don't know if he is the linebacker body type or prototype that the Lions are really looking for, just based on previous draft history.
So. Which is again why I think if somehow Devin Lloyd fell that far, that would jump all over that immediately, just because of his size and he's the guy that would be awesome. I mean, that would be so cool. So
that was very similar to yours, but there were enough loops in there where it's like,
it was mixed up a little bit.